Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour podcast. I'm your host Dan Jones, and joined as always by four-time national road champion Johnny Trevorrow, and a man who shamelessly plugs the Jayco Bay Cycling Classic on every episode.
Quite right.
Quite right. And the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett. It's a jam-packed show, fellas. We're going to be obviously recapping all the action from a fantastic World Road Championships in Belgium. We've got some special guests. We've got Rebecca Eliot from Pro Touch Africa. She's going to be talking about, where is African cycling at, but also talking about a very special Phil Liggett Foundation. So we're going to talk about what sort of work you and the foundation are doing, Phil, to bridge the gap with African riders and getting them into the World Tour. And then we're going to have a break. And then after the break, we're going to check in with our mates in Belgium again at the Flandrien Hotel. That's obviously Jamie Anderson and Bernard Moerman. Jam-packed show, fellas. Let's get straight into it. Start with you, Phil. Geez, you must have been pretty impressed with the World Road Championships, mate.
I was so exasperated not commentating on the World Championships because it's the best Worlds I've seen for years and years. You remember when we had our preview show, I said my heart wants this man to win, Julian Alaphilippe, but I felt he couldn't do it again. And it would go down, as we all thought, to a sprinter like Van Aert, but it was to be. And Julian gave us such an exciting race. He was uncontrollable. When they caught him, he attacked again. They caught him, he attacked again. The course was brilliant. I think Belgium accelerated in the eyes of the whole world for putting on a great championship under the most difficult of circumstances. The crowds, although they were probably largely national crowds, who cares? Because the Belgians are the biggest supporters of the sport of cycling. And so they didn't need anybody from the outside to cheer anybody on. They could do it so well. Absolutely brilliant. And I know we're going to talk about the Phil Liggett Foundation with Rebecca shortly, but we got a kickstart we never dreamt of. What about that sprint finish of the under-23 kid from Eritrea, Biniam Girmay? He went from about 20th in 300 meters to winning the bunch sprint and won by lengths in the end. And there he is. It's just a fantastic world. And as we've been speaking, I've just seen Pat McQuaid, the former president of the UCI, flash up on Facebook and say, I've just returned from one of the best world championships I've ever seen. I think that says it all.
Well, one thing you're talking about the crowds, what I really liked is they took social distancing and the mask really serious. And did you see that vision when they got up on stage? They try to communicate to the crowd, like, if you don't understand 1.5 meters, it just shuffle 3 times to the left. I've got some video of this, Iffy. It didn't work.
A lot of social distancing going on there.
But they had a crack. They had a crack.
Yeah. Did they?
Fabulous.
Yeah, right. I got to tell you, Dan, that was the best World Championship I've ever seen. I can remember I was following it, on the net before the TV started at 9:30, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a bloody good bike race already, straight away. And when it started on telly, like with 160 kilometres still to go, they were lined out like it was the last lap. I thought, what's going on here? And it never changed from that, which is absolutely fantastic, with the crowd so involved. With 100 years since centenary World Championship, and what a fitting place to have it as in Flanders, and everyone came out. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. Just amazing.
And there was brilliant scenes. I mean, we wound the crowd up before, but when Alaphilippe had the jersey and got the crowd going at the finish line, there is another clip. They just get atmosphere right, the Belgians. We're going to be chatting with Jamie later, and he sent through some videos. And there's live bands, there's people just having fun. It was so refreshing to see, particularly being in Melbourne. We've been locked up for 4,000 days, it feels like. But it does sort of give you hope that, one day in the future, we will get atmosphere back at live sporting events.
Next year, mate. Wollongong World Championships. Hey, it's going to be brilliant. Hopefully, we can do it Something like
now,
that.
your man, John, obviously from an Australian perspective, Michael Matthews, he was not happy at the finish line. He cited, there was lack of support with his teammates. We did have, geez, I've prepared for this show. I normally don't have videos ready, but I've got a couple of belters early. But one of his teammates, Nathan Haas, was probably preoccupied with the crowd out the back.
Nathan Haas trying to put it on the back wheel. Doing so successfully, much to the delight of the Belgian fans.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nathan actually did a good ride. He got into that break, and that was the right thing. Michael Matthews could sit back, and others had to do chasing. But there was nothing wrong with the race he rode. He was already dropping out the back when he did that, so it didn't matter. Yeah.
Now, we encourage people to get involved with the show live. So, leave comments, questions. Matthew Bordion says, how spewing is iffy that Wout van Aert didn't win?
Well, I can't tell you. I picked Wout. I've got it right now. Jamie, if you listen. Wout van Aert. I think I've got it right. I think I got it right.
I thought it's Wout, though. Anyway.
Wout
van Aert.
Check the phonetics. Wout. That's with a T on the end.
Okay. But
that's how they say it. But anyway, I thought he would win, but I swapped allegiances at about 58k to go. I was texting with one of my mates, and when Alaphilippe did that attack 58k out, even though it was just an initial one, he did it with such power. I thought, wow, he's going to rip this place race apart the last 30k. That's exactly what he did, and I couldn't think of a more fitting world champion. And I love him as a racer. He is the ultimate racer. Always gives it. And I just thought it was very interesting that his team manager, his DS in this race, was Tommy Vogler, who there's some similarities about them, though Alaphilippe is so much a better bike rider than Tommy Vogler. But the way they dance on the bike and never know what they're going to do, they've got that similarity. And then you read the stories of what he was telling him to do and all that. It's just a wonderful yarn. Yeah.
Now, Phil, you're very close with Eddie Merckx. Does he owe Remco an apology, mate?
Well, Eddie inspires people, that's for sure, but it wasn't meant to inspire him like the way it worked out, because he always speaks his mind, Eddie. He always has done throughout his whole career as a bike rider and as a personality. But what he did for Remco gave his answer absolutely brilliantly. He was a 100% teammate. He went into this race not for himself. He rode a brilliant race, and he caused the first fractures of the main peloton. The Belgian team, as a team, I think rode incredibly well because of the pressure. In the end, it didn't get the result they wanted, but they did everything right. Nobody could allow for Alaphilippe. And when you come down to a bunch sprint, all the work they put in, they weren't going to get a medal in the end. But Jesper Stuyven, he came good, and he wasn't far away from the chocolate factory either, with the museum in the area of Leuven, I think it is, because he makes chocolates by part of his life with his dad.
Really?
But then, yeah, and so I think that the Belgians took the race. There would be no criticism of them in the press, I'm sure, in Belgium. They rode a fabulous tour, a day out rather, and they impressed the crowd, and they showed the crowd they were part of this race to the world. They didn't win it, but that's sport. But they rode like winners the whole way. I was very impressed. And Remco, that boy, I think, has doubled his popularity in just 6 hours.
Well, when we talked to Jamie, he's got some great vision of Remco going up one of the climbs, and crowd were going absolute ballistic. In the women's race, if it was another good show. I was hoping, obviously, Chloe Hosking could be there in the final, but she wasn't. But it was hats off to Italy. Elisa Balsamo, great win.
Yeah, well, it was a great win.
Yeah,
but this was Italy's race. Were you there, John?
Yeah, you on a delay, John.
Yeah, mate.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No,
Your mic's not working. You got a 3-second delay.
You know what that Phil Liggett's like? He just dives in on you all the time. You can't get away.
I'm only giving you 2 seconds and then I'm off.
So I should have directed the question. What did you think of the women's race, John?
No, it was a fantastic bike race and a very fitting winner. I thought I didn't think Chloe would be able to get through that course after her challenges this year. So in 100% form, it could have been a different story. And I thought exactly the same with Caleb. He was never going to come back from that time off the bike and be ready for that course around that world title, which is so frenetic. And the way that race it was never going to happen, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like your internet's playing up a bit
she's
iffy.
really boring. I didn't really. Is it?
Fantastic. Yeah, it's actually might be a good thing because normally I've got my fingers sort of dangling over the mute button, but I think the Wi-Fi will do the work for me. But Phil, what were your takeaways from the women's race, mate?
Equally as enjoyable. It was a long ride for them, and it was an attacking race. It got off to a slow start, let's face it, but it built up very quickly. And Ashley Moerman, who was going to be with us today on the program, she's in transit now to a world championship, the Extreme, I think it is World Championship something. She's traveling. Otherwise, she'd have been with us. But she rode a terrific race for South Africa. She really did, on her own, really, at the front there. Great talent. But at the end of the day, this in many ways has been Italy's World Championships, and they've come to the good. I mean, David Cassani will be fated for all his selections this time around, even though I think he's going to leave the job. But no, I enjoyed the women's race very much indeed, and it was like the men. I started with the intention of leaving and coming back and watching the last 20, 30K, and I finished up sitting down at a desk on the computer and watching the whole thing. I watched it on Belgian television. It was in French, but Rodrigo, the French commentator, he's a Belgian, but he speaks in French. Is a pretty enthusiastic guy. So it's an enjoyable commentary, and I felt the Belgian output as well from the games. So I really enjoyed it, yeah.
As we said at the top of the show, we've got a jam-packed episode. We're going to be chatting to Rebecca Eliot from Pro Touch Africa. Before we do, we're going to show a special clip to basically explain what Pro Touch do, and they talk about their app as well.
See the banner now. The moment is going to turn to a smile. He cannot believe it. He promised the Italians he'd do it. We're looking at the Battle of Val Thorens here. It has never been like this.
And Rebecca Eliot joins us now. Rebecca, thanks for joining us on the detour. What were your thoughts of the World Championships on the weekend?
Oh wow! Look, the under-23s were just amazing to see. To see Biniam coming through there from 20th all the way to 2nd was quite a monumental moment for South Africa, or for Africa as a continent. And it was great. The elite race didn't really bode well for the Africans. I think only one African rider finished the race, but the race was unbelievable. It was really good.
So I saw obviously the clip then about Pro Touch. Can you give us a bit of background to what Pro Touch actually do and how it's supporting, the program in Africa?
Absolutely. So Pro Touch is primarily a sports tech business. We focus on fan engagement, and our purpose is really around focusing on getting more African riders onto the world stage. We've spent the last 3 years building our continental team, which is the number one team in Africa, and focused really on moving and taking African riders to the world stage, because we're fairly limited in Africa in terms of the number of events that we actually have. So Pro Touch itself, it really is using technology to try and build fan engagement and look at new ways to generate revenue that can actually be used to push back into the team, into developing riders up into the team and taking it forward.
So, Phil, I couldn't help but notice on the clip, it said, "Get to know the man." behind the voice. Yeah, what sort of insights we're going to get on the fabulous Phil Liggett?
Well, I'll tell you, Dan, I've got two adopted countries, as you know, South Africa and Australia. I've got a house in South Africa, and I've seen these people develop and grow up since the ending of apartheid. I've seen how enthusiastic the cyclists are, and there's plenty of them out there. Okay, we've got about 150 riding in Europe and on the various levels of teams, right through to World Tour at this moment, but they need the final push. And so we're hoping over the next couple of years to really find the funds to help develop these boys. We're going to meet Jamie in a minute, but the Flandrien Hotel has become very special for the foundation, because it's reminding me of 50 years ago when I lived in Belgium, and I lived in a place called the Café den Engel, and Albert Burek looked after foreign cyclists, which was the Australians, the Americans, and the Brits. And he gave us the accommodation, and we went out with no guidance to try and earn enough money every day in the criteriums to keep living there and learning our sport. Well, that's exactly what this is. These kids are going to be brought over, and they'll be staying in the Flandrien Hotel. Its facilities, as you might see shortly, are magnificent, and they're in the hotbed of cycling. If you can conquer in Belgium, you can conquer the world, as we've seen over the weekend. But it's the people that will help these kids as well. We just need the backing to do it properly. We're looking for the African black cyclists to succeed. We got Nick Lamini in the Tour de France. Okay, he was eliminated after a week of the Tour, but that wasn't because he's in any ways doesn't have the talent. He most certainly does. King of the Mountains, indeed, in the Santos Tour Down Under when he came there, and the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Britain. This guy's good. And then you've got the guys who have already, from Eritrea, who already made the mark, like Tekla Haymanot and Kudus. They rode the Tour de France. In Tekla Haymanot's case, he got the King of the Mountains, and Kudus himself finished 84th in 2015, I think it was. And then we got the Tekla Haymanot, King of the Mountains, for 4 days. And they went back to Eritrea, by the way, as national heroes.
Oh, yeah, I remember the Vision. They had a ticker tape parade.
Absolutely. And the guys were heroes. They're sporting heroes. There's some controversy about awarding Rwanda the World Championships in 2025. It will be a huge success, because the country will turn out in their tens of thousands. It'll be a very, very big success.
We've got a quick clip that Ryan Gibbons recorded before the Worlds on the weekend, where he talks about the pathway for African cyclists.
Hi, this is Ryan Gibbons, the current African Continental Champion and rider for UAE Team Emirates. Africa has so much hidden talent, but due to lack of funding, resources, opportunities and exposure to the world's biggest races, it's proving difficult to get African riders onto the world stage and racing in the world's biggest teams. The work that ProTouch and the Phil Liggett Foundation does is closing that gap and giving opportunities to African riders, which is what is needed. With the recent announcement of Rwanda being the hosts of the 2025 UCI Road World Championships, now's the time to get the show on the road to ensure that we can show the world exactly what talent Africa has.
Fantastic message there. Iffy, I better bring you in if your Wi-Fi permits.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I was going to say, Rebecca, what's the chances with Rwanda? Is it their approach to human rights? What's the issue with them as being a host of the World Championships?
Oh, Rwanda is just such an amazing country. Considering what they've been through, our team has been there for 4 years to do the tour of Rwanda. And every year they come back, they just are amazed at how the people of Rwanda just come out and support, the tour the way that they do. I mean, I think sometimes they feel like they are riding the Tour de France. The roads are lined with people. People are hanging out the buildings to just get a glimpse of the teams as they come through. So, Rwanda itself has run a tour of Rwanda for a number of years. I think it started back in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and 1988. But for 12 years, it's been part of the UCI Africa Tour. As I said, we as a continental team have participated for four of those years since 2018. And each year, more and more European teams are actually coming to participate in the event. This year, we had Israel Startup Nation, we had B&B Hotels, Direct Energy, and Droni Giacatoli. And for riders like the Pro Touch riders, as well as other teams that are coming to participate from Africa, to be able to ride alongside those European-based riders is just, it just adds so much more to the experience of being in Rwanda. So we're extremely excited about the Worlds coming to Rwanda, and we're also extremely excited to work closely with Rwanda. We've recently signed our first Rwandan rider, Moise Mugisha, who actually was riding with our team in France last week. He's now doing some races with the Rwandan national team, and then he'll join up with the team again in Belgium before heading back to Rwanda. And signing Moise to the team is the first step for us in starting to move Pro Touch from a purely South African team to a Pan-African team. And we believe that there is so much almost raw talent that exists in Africa that just actually needs a platform to be able to be seen. And we believe that what we're trying to do with Pro Touch is starting to enable that.
So it's one thing to get a pool of money, but then once you get those funds, is it about, if you're wanting to bridge that gap to get them into the world tour, I mean, is it about taking them over to Europe to race, or is it, building up the racing scene in Africa? I mean, how would that be best utilized, do you think, Rebecca?
Look, I think, to be honest, the gap is still very big between African racing and the world tour. And, I think the focus certainly for the next 3 to 4 years has to be on starting to bridge that gap. So that comes with having more races in Africa. Currently, we have 6 African tours in the whole year. South Africa itself currently only has national champs where our riders can actually even earn UCI points. So we are hoping for some new UCI races coming through in the next couple of years. But I think, the focus is very much about getting access to experience. We run a team that is based in South Africa, and that comes with its own challenges of, costs of travel, getting riders to the various tours. In 2019, when we started as a continental team, we did a lot of racing in Asia, and that was actually a lot easier for us as an African team, because from a costing perspective, the Asian organizers actually assist with a lot of the travel costs. They assist with, vehicles. When we come to Europe, it's a completely different situation. We're carrying all of the travel costs, the accommodation costs, the hiring of vehicles, either hiring of local staff, etc. So, and then because that gap is so big, it makes it more and more difficult to justify spending the money, because the reality is you very rarely come away with, a number of UCI points or any, major results. So, I think that certainly the next 3 years, it's about increasing the exposure of African riders to the international circuit, and that comes in the form of taking riders to the races. As Phil mentioned, the Flandrien Hotel is going to be hosting African and Rwandan riders as well as South African riders over the coming year. And the idea really is to actually really start to build the experience and the exposure so that by the time we get to 2025, Africa and its various countries can have a good showing at that World Champs.
Iffy?
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I mean, it's interesting watching your growth. When I raced probably many years ago, there was only a handful of English-speaking guys racing in Europe. I reckon there was less than 10 English-speaking guys in the whole European peloton. But we spent a lot of effort on growing the racing in Australia, and then gradually teams would go over and race amateur teams in Italy and things like that. And that sounds to me like the plan that you've got as well, which I think is the way to go. You've got to try and do both: improve your racing and give the riders the opportunity to have some races in Europe.
100%.
Yeah. And don't forget, sorry, Rebecca. Don't forget also Jonathan Boyer. Has been the national coach of cycling in Rwanda, and his first love is with Rwanda to this very day. And we're in close contact. And Jonathan was the first American to finish the Tour de France before Greg LeMond came 100%. Along. And I remember Jonathan. I was on a train. We were on an official train going to see the Taj Mahal at the Commonwealth Games. I don't know what the year was, 2010, I think.
2010, yeah.
Yeah, and he called me over. I walked to the coaches, and he was sat there with his riders from Rwanda. And he said, "Phil, come and meet this guy. He's going to be a great bike rider." And I met him, and he was Jonathan had trained him up, and he hasn't developed into being a champion yet, but he's been riding pretty well. And I think you'll find that the enthusiasm of people like Jonathan, like myself, like Rebecca, we've got to get these kids exposed. They've got the talent, but nobody's there to help them.
One thing that really impressed me, Rebecca, was when, a lot of teams are going, it's really hard to get sponsorship. It's hard to monetize things. But when I saw in some of your documents about monetizing the ProTouch platform, but using blockchain and things like NFTs. Now, I understand what that actually means. I mean, John wouldn't have a clue. And I also understand that Bitcoin's bloody dropped in the last week.
One inch blockchain is a 1 inch piece. They used to.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember it well.
But do you find that to move forward, you've got to be ahead of the game? So you've got to think of more revenue streams. And do you just want to give us a bit of a background on how you plan to sort of monetize this moving forward?
Absolutely. So ProTouch Africa has just recently launched its first version of the fan engagement platform. And really the purpose of that, and we've really been in beta sort of testing the last month or two, the plan with the fan engagement platform is to aggregate African cycling and to bring together the following that is approximately 1.5 million people globally that follow African cycling. So really what we've done is we've taken the 150 top African riders, we've aggregated their social media following globally and brought those together. And that's actually how we're going to build the community of people that actually follow African cycling. And then from there, we're going to monetize that through a variety of different revenue streams. So we have with the foundation a range of merchandise that's being created. Some of that merchandise is already starting to be seen on the World Tour with some of the African riders already wearing the gloves, the socks, and various other products that we've started pushing out. And then the NFTs that you've just mentioned are due to launch next month. We've been fairly busy at getting those going. Really, if I had to describe it for you, it's the old version of collecting player cards in a digital format. So what we've actually done is we've created a series of images of African riders that have been created in sort of avatars, and some of those have already started to creep out in various forms. And we've also then aligned ourselves with a number of the international World Tour photographers who've actually given us high-res photos that have been taken of African riders, and those have actually been created into digital artworks. And the NFTs are then actually minted into the blockchain, and then they'll go out on auction, and people will be able to actually purchase and collect and trade these NFTs, which are then sort of positioned within the blockchain, and that will be one of the other ways that we're looking to actually generate revenue.
How much of that did you understand, John? Yeah.
What I gather is it's a little postcard you have, but you don't actually have it. Yeah, I get that.
No, they're unique digital cards, mate. They've exploded in the NBA. You can't buy them. The packs sell out straight away, and they're unique.
Right. You don't actually have one. But yeah.
So Rebecca, John is not part of your market, so you don't have to worry about him.
So
but I get it.
So what we've actually done is we've created digital versions, but in all cases, there's a physical high-res PDF that you can actually print out and frame and collect as well. So for those who want the sort of physical thing that they can feel and touch or put up on the wall, then we have that too.
So last one from me is, what does a home run look like for you guys come 2025 and beyond? Because obviously, there's going to be huge buzz, as Phil and Ryan was talking about with the Worlds in Rwanda. But to capitalize on that, what would be a dream result for you guys?
You want to go, Phil?
No, you can tell me.
No? Look, I think, as I said, our big dream would be over the next 3 to 4 years to build ProTouch up into a Pan-African team and to have all African riders riding on the world stage, and whether that's in Asia, whether it's in Europe and in Africa, we would like to see as many African riders as possible. And ultimately, that would filter down into a world champs, because many of those riders would come from African countries that would be participating in worlds. So while ProTouch itself wouldn't be participating in the world champs, not being its own country, we would hope to have as many of our riders from ProTouch actually participating in the World Tour and representing Africa.
Great stuff. Phil?
Well, I think the same. Don't forget that Africa as a continent is still developing, very much so, and times are pretty tough out there, especially in parts of some of the countries there. I think there's a massive number of African countries that having problems even getting food to their mouths, and so there's a lot of problems there. But we have had a terrific kickstart this last year or so, and now we've had a very unexpected World Championships that's seen a first ever World Championships going to Rwanda, and also the terrific performance we've got in the under-23 event. Everybody's starting to talk Africa now. There's no finer time to start getting on board and work with us to put Africa on the continent. It's a country that wants to help itself and give these kids something to really look forward to drive for, and to become superstars in their own country, which has happened. Now, Eritrea, for example, they've been under the cosh from, first of all, it was Italy, and then it was Ethiopia. Ethiopia, in the last matter of days, have befriended again Eritrea, and now they've got cross-border access. And I think we'll see those two countries go forward, and we'll see Ethiopia have good cyclists too, as well as Eritrea. From an absolutely selfish point of view, you saw those fantastic coloured jerseys. Well, for an aging commentator like me, it's going to be pretty easy to pick out Eritreans when they get in the front of the group with those colours. And I think over the next 3 years in the build-up, we're going to see it more and more. But it's all part of this. And this is why I can't thank Jamie enough for the Flandrien Hotel, because that's a comparatively new project as well. And we're going to go hand in hand and make this happen. And I love the thoughts. My only regret is, of course, I'm getting older and older as the years go by, but I want to see this realized in my time as a commentator, because the hearts these people have is second to none, but they need help. Yeah. And we're in a position to give them that help. And for a commercial person who can see a future for his company, he grows with Africa and with the cyclists, and they will get the publicity because that's what it's all about. We saw it happen. It was 15, 20 years ago when we started pushing with the Australians to make it big. I remember commentating saying there were 40 riders living in Europe. It doesn't seem that long ago. Now Australia's a watch team in everything it does. Same applies to even to the UK. Before 2000, we were a disaster, but we got money, and the money changed the whole scene. And now look at us now. If we don't get a medal, it's an absolute disgrace as far as we're concerned. So we just need the money and the drive, and we want those that give the money to also achieve for their own direction as well.
Before we let you go, Rebecca, what message do you want for the people tuning in? How can they get involved?
Well, I think over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start to see some of the fan engagement platform components launching out. So that will be certainly the first way that they can start to participate. They can already download the ProTouch Africa app and start to interact with the profiles that have already been built, the African cycling news that is already on there. So that would certainly be the sort of next steps for us. And follow our team and get involved, as Phil says. You know, I think that the old sponsorship model is broken, but I do think that there are definitely ways that companies can get involved in helping to support and helping to build an athlete impact investment platform and a fund that can actually look to develop and empower and enable these riders. So we would love to hear from you.
Well, just give us a heads up when those NFTs launch, and Iffy, you can start bidding, mate. Get amongst it.
I'll be there, mate. Blockchain, I can just see it.
Blockchain, yeah. I really appreciate you being on the show, Rebecca.
Thank
all
you.
The best with what you're doing. It's a fantastic cause, and you know, we look forward to seeing the African cycling, you know, really take off with the right amount of support, because what you're doing is very innovative as well, and that really got me excited, particularly with fan engagement. That's what I love to see in cycling. So all the best.
Thank you.
Now,
thanks, John. Thanks, Dan.
No dramas at
Thanks,
all.
Phil.
Thanks, Rebecca.
And thanks very much, Jamie, as well, for hosting my riders there at your hotel. So I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the show.
Good stuff. Speak to you soon. Thanks. Rebecca Eliot from Pro Touch Africa. Now we're going to have a quick drinks break. When we come back, we're going to have Jamie Anderson and Bernard Moerman, and we're going to talk about the Worlds. We're going to talk about the Flandrien Hotel. We're going to have a bit of fun, so stay tuned.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for 0 cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate, and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange, and some great messages there for the Amy Gillett Foundation. And we're joined again by our mates at the Flandrien Hotel, the proprietors, obviously, Jamie Anderson and Bernard Moerman. Fellas, welcome back to the Detour. First question, was most of your Monday spent just cleaning up empty Duvel bottles, and was it just absolutely trashed after the weekend?
Go ahead. Yeah, well, I mean, Dan, the atmosphere here was unbelievable. I mean, in fact, here at the Flandrien, the atmosphere began pretty early because we were actually in the clubhouse watching Zoe Backstead, win the junior women's road race, being commented by her dad, who was actually, a young guy who spent a lot of time with Anne and Bernard early on in his career. So that was just phenomenal. So it just built up for us from there and continued right into that incredible Sunday in Leuven.
Oh, that was vision I should have grabbed off Twitter, because they filmed Magnus as he was commentating. It was so good. Did you see that, Iffy? Because you took all credit on the weekend for.
I did. I actually had a text back and forth with Magnus today. He's over the moon. Yeah, because as I said, I started it. They met at the Bay Classic. Maggie and his lovely Welsh bride. So there you go. I'll take all the credit. Even though Phil tried to mooch in on it, he gave them a room. Okay.
Yeah. Now, Jamie, you sent me through some images from the race itself. I've got that video ready to go. It's a bit of a supercut. You just take us through some of the atmosphere that you saw on the day.
Yeah, Leuven is a student city, so there were street parties all around the circuit. I mean, you saw the thousands of people in the city centre, but that atmosphere extended all the way around that lap in Leuven. There were bands playing. Everyone from 4 years old to 84 years old was on the street partying, singing. And the other thing, Dan, was the incredible discipline of the audience. I think you see it here with Remco coming through. They're all singing "We Love You, Remco." But look at the guys, nobody stepping out onto the road, nobody, trying to do silly things with their phones and video. So I think that was also a bit of an unstated victory actually for the organizers, the real respect and actual behavior of the crowds, that despite the fact the roads were open, there were no barriers, as you saw in that section of the road. People really were taking responsibility to make it safe and make it a great day for everyone.
So, Bernard, tell us how the Flandrien Hotel is connected with ProTouch and all the things that we're talking about with Rebecca.
Well, obviously, everything is around people that love riding bikes, and having pro teams here helps us a lot being known. And also the background of myself and my wife is the cycling center. So over the age of 25 years, we have taken care of more than 1,000 international riders coming from 34 countries. And now being able to continue doing that with the support of people like Jamie is great for us. You know, we have a facility that is totally geared to ride bikes. So we have room for the bikes. It's all locked up. Everything we have in the rooms is geared to people that love riding bikes. We have a tremendous collection of Jamie's bikes where we can show the movement and technologies and stuff like that, like where his heritage comes from. Yeah, it's just great. We have an art gallery that all is about emotion and cycling. So really aspects that are not always seen from others, but that are loved by all the people that have been here so far. When we look at the guest book and then all the reviews we get on booking.com and other places. So we think we're in the right spot with also with the experience we have from over 25 years on both sides. That's I think a great point.
Phil?
Well, my heart goes out when I see those Belgian roads, I'll tell you, because it's the most wonderful place to ride your bike and to meet such enthusiastic people who actually give way to cyclists. But this is a facility which, well, in my day, we'd have given our right arm for, because it's such a brilliant facility. And but you know, when you come out, the biggest thing is the Australians were very nomadic people, so they didn't bother wandering too. Well, they wandered and didn't worry. But for the homesick UK people, all they want to do is go back home, except when they got to Belgium, where they could practice what they wanted to do. Same will apply to our South Africans when they go there. Some are there now. They just get on with what they're there to achieve. And this is a setup which you would die for. This is base control for the future of wandering cyclists who are simply in search of a great career.
Yeah, I mean that's also something important. Phil, you said something very important earlier, which was, you know, in those early days of well, actually, a very good friend of the hotel actually is Alan Piper, and Alan Piper came here to Belgium when he was 17 years old with holes in his pockets. I mean, Dan, of course, we're working on the documentary film, so we know his story. So if you think back to that period of the late 70s, early 80s, the English-speaking riders, in a way, were the equivalent of many of those African riders today. You know, the resources weren't there, the structures weren't there, and as you said, Phil, no one was there to help them. And you know, I was actually, you know, someone who personally who had to stop my career in my late teens because my family didn't have the resources. There was no Australian Institute of Sport road program at that time for me to follow. And you know, at the age of 18, I had to give up on my dream, you know, to become a pro rider. So the reality is that situation that many of us found ourselves in, you know, 30, even 40 years ago, is still a reality for so many young riders in the world today, both men and women. And you know, here at the Flandrien Hotel, we just feel so, you know, so much joy to be able to create a home away from home, to give those folks an opportunity, men and women, from initially from Africa, but also our long-term vision is other developing countries also.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Bernard, how important is like mentorship, particularly for these young riders? Like, you know, you get a lot of older riders, like you're talking about Alan Piper, but to have people like yourself, former pros that come in, and not only is it a bed and a place where they can ride, but to really, you know, get inside their heads and pass on that experience.
Well, the very first thing that needs to happen is it needs to be a home away from home. The only way you can do good is when you are relaxed and you don't have worries about where to sleep and what to eat. So those are the very big basics first. Plus, we understand that you come from a different culture, and we respect that culture. And it's then going step by step, because also the racing is different. Phil will totally agree when we say that the racing atmosphere in Australia or in South Africa is totally different than here. Here, it's a plain, simple, very hard business, but it takes a time to get used to that. And that's what we really want to give. We want to give the guys the time, because the physical abilities they have, but it's all the other stuff. And that is the stuff they can learn. And we give them the time and the ease of confidence to learn that. That's what we think is the most important.
Iffy, this is your cue to come in and talk about how hard you did it when you were in Belgium in the early days.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because my first trip to Belgium, I remember I went over to the Common Games, 20-year-old, we were in Edinburgh, they rode the Worlds in less than, then went over to some friends' place in Holland, came down for a few races. I just wanted to race in Belgium for the couples. And I stayed at Mrs. Dean's guest house in Ghent, Madam Dean. And just last week, a guy sent me the page of the guest book which I'd signed back in 1970. So it's funny how that world occurs. But actually, I was just talking to a guy. I've got a little cabin up at Nagambie, and one of the guys from Shepparton, who's got a cabin just across from me, a bloke named Trevor Blake, who I raced against many years ago. Mm-hmm. But he tells me that he reckons he gave you one of his jerseys or something back when you were about 13 at Mrs. Matthew's place. Do you remember that, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, many fond memories. You know, I mean, Shepparton was a little town at that time of, I think, 12 or 13,000 people that had this absolutely passionate cycling community. You know, many people, take for granted that, Australia, at Shepparton with 11,000 people, we had an Olympic standard velodrome built in a field next to a shed. That's what I was riding on from the time I was 13 years old. So a lot of good bike riders came out of that part of Victoria. And now, here
Dick
I am.
Moore, one of my. Yeah, sorry, mate.
If you'd have told me, when I was 13 years old, riding with Stephen Fairless and the McKenzie brothers, David McKenzie, of course, also a guy who spent time with Shepparton. Yeah. If you'd have told me when I was 13 that at age 50 I'd be, owning a place like this and working with a guy like Bernard and his wife Anne here in the Flemish Ardennes, having Alan Piper as a neighbour who drops in for coffee, I absolutely wouldn't have believed you. But yeah, they say dreams come true, and here we are. But actually, we've got Gustav Basson here with us, and he's a team. Actually, as you can see behind us, we've got a live studio audience. I don't know if you have one of those before, Dan. No, actually get some engagement going. So, Gustav, why don't you come over, because Gustav arrived last night here at the Flandrien with the Pro Touch team. So, Gustav, how's it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I must actually give some props to Rebecca Eliot for finding places like this, like the Flandrien Hotel, for like you guys said, having a home away from home. It is so great to have this initiative and you guys to help us. I mean, this is really a different hotel than what you're used to. I mean, I've never heard of a hotel where only cyclists are allowed to be in the hotel. So apparently, if you're not a cyclist, they actually call you and then find out if you're cycling or if you know anything about cycling.
Did you do that deliberately, Jamie? Because you would get so many bad reviews from people going, the guy who runs a joint just won't shut up about bikes. Whereas if it's just cycling.
We actually had some non-cyclists, and they booked on booking.com. I cancelled their reservation. Then they booked again on our site, and I rang them and said, look, you shouldn't come. And they insisted on coming. And it was a complete disaster because, they wanted to drink beer and smoke cigarettes and party, and they wanted to, have sausages and bacon and coffee cooker, the sweet pastries for breakfast. So we just argued the whole time, and then I kicked them out.
Have you got the Flandrien flashlight for the midnight clip? Hey, keep it down, guys.
Yeah, gave it down. No, the lady left me I think she gave us a Google review, and she gave us 1 out of 10, saying how awful we were for normal people. And then I answered back, we told you shouldn't have come. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Gustav, did I hear them say you?
I could have stayed there all day. I would have drank the beer, smoked the cigarettes. No, I'd started first, but whatever.
If you would have been out after about 6 hours, mate, we would have kicked you out.
Phil, what were you going to say?
No, I was just asking Gustav there. Did you say you just arrived at the hotel, Gustav?
Well, we arrived yesterday. We had probably 2 hours of Jamie talking about all the art and all the bike collection here and everything 100% cycling. I mean, it took us probably like I said, 2 hours for Jamie just to explain to us that Tom Boonen's bike is there and all the professional bikes is there. There's all Roubaix bikes that they used to race with the shock fork that they implemented then and the new loop bike. So yeah, I mean, Jamie can keep you busy for I think 25 days at least about one bike. And he said he has something about 300 or something. So yeah, no, it's great. It's a nice place to be in and all the facilities here. It's honestly I think a world class development that they're starting here.
Well, Jamie was talking about the documentary earlier. It's called Hoarders. And it's about guys that are obsessed with collecting bikes. So,
and then the happiest person actually when we opened the doors of this hotel was my wife because it used to be at our home near to Antwerp, but it's But the other thing that Gustav and the guys will experience actually is the new accommodation because we've actually created a new space completely refurbished for specifically in preparation for the African Riders Development Program. We've got a dormitory, but really I think special. But Gustav, how do you find the accommodations?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you have a bed and you have the food, that's the two main essentials. So, I mean, it is really world class, like I said. And I mean, the roads here in Belgium are the Ronde van Flanders goes around here close to the hotel. And I mean, you're probably like half an hour from all the Paardenberg and Oude Quaremont. So, I mean, it's a good place where it's situated. Obviously, the weather in Belgium, because of global warming is great nowadays. I mean, September is
it wasn't when I lived there.
Yeah, I mean, the sun shining. Like even today, it's a nice day out. There's only a few clouds. So I mean, it's the accommodation is great where it's situated, and I mean the people are friendly and just looking after us. And yeah, it's honestly I think a good thing going forward. And just getting, the gap close to cycling from Africa and into Europe. And I mean, the racing, if you race in Europe, it makes a big difference from, racing, not lower grade races, but the speed and, the technical, it's different compared to European racing. And the only way you can get better in those is definitely being in the races and competing in it. And it takes time to adapt. And yeah, so I mean, this initiative is a great thing going forward, and these guys are doing a super job. And they only apparently opened like two weeks ago.
No, 2 months ago.
Oh, two months ago, and already booked full as well. So, yeah, I've never heard of a company doing so good in the start of it.
Gustav, I want to ask you, is there any particular rider that you want to follow their path that has either come from Africa that you look at and you go, that's where I want to go to?
I'll just say Tom Boonen. Africa, I'll just say Tom Boonen is always a legend.
Yeah,
there's no other word.
We heard Gustav was a little bit of a Tom Boonen fan, so we actually put a picture of Tom Boonen above his bed when he arrived. So we have a collection of cycling greats, and we listen to people when they arrive. Oh, who are your fans? And then I'm like messaging Bernard, put up the Cancellara in room number 3, quick. We do
That's
that.
Got to be worth an extra half star on the Google review, mate, for sure.
You've got to
wait till the day where someone says John Trevorrow. You'll have to get a picture of Iffy's head.
Yeah.
With a cigarette.
That's to clear the
We've
room.
got some pop art, and sometimes it's a bit hard to see who those people are. They have a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, so we just put one of those up, and it'll be close enough.
Now, Jamie, let's cut to the chase. You know a thing or two about marketing and how to create a buzz. The car.
Yeah.
Take me through the Flandrien Mobile.
Well, 505.
Look, as I told you, when I was a kid growing up in Australia, 9-10 years old, that's when I got into cycling. My heroes were Phil Anderson and Alan Piper. And of course, who were they riding for? They were riding for the team, one of the first European teams to bring English-speaking riders, en masse into European racing. And that was the Peugeot Michelin car. So actually, when we bought the car, Bernard and I, and we had this vision to create it, we got a lot of flack, from the Flemish guys. They're like, why would you have a French car in Flanders? And we said, well, for us, it's not about a French car. It's about a team that really began what has evolved into an international sport, because it wasn't just Phil Anderson and Alan Piper. It was Robert Miller. Of course, it started with Tom Simpson, Eddie Merckx on that team. So, for us, the Peugeot Michelin team and that connection was very, very personal for me. But then, of course, we discovered that Alan Piper was living 4 kilometers from here. And he's come over and he's become very much, a friend of this place as well. But the other thing, of course, is many of the guests that visit here are coming from Australia, the UK, Ireland. So they also feel this very strong connection with our Peugeot car. And we use it every day. We drive it to do our shopping. We pick people up from the train station and the airport. I picked one of our guests up, Sean, this morning from the station in Charlesburg in the Peugeot. And that's pretty special when people arrive on the train and they're picked up in a 1917 car. Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's the Google reviews. Don't worry about that 1 out of 10. I think you can be able to counteract that real quick. We've got a comment from Sean Rolls. He says, the hotel looks amazing. How do us cyclists find the Flandrien Hotel to visit? Website, yeah? Yeah, absolutely. FlandrienHotel.com. You can find us. Of course, booking.com. There's also a great resource for anyone who wants to come here to ride their bikes in Flanders, and that's cyclinginflanders.cc. That's an initiative of Visit Flanders, the tourism authority here. And it's just amazing because actually it is a bit of a a bit of a black box when you come here to Flanders, because obviously the routes like the Ronde are really complicated. So Cycling in Flanders, what that website offers is loads of GPS routes that you can download, recommendations on accommodation, places to visit and stay. And we're the #1 listed hotel on the site because of the uniqueness of what we do here. So that's also a terrific resort for people. Fantastic, mate. We've got a couple of live questions. They want to go back to the Worlds from the weekend. Gary Ross, got to give a mention to Nelson Powless. What a ride. Phil, sensational
Absolutely.
effort.
Yeah, in fact, I sent a letter to the Americans only this morning to congratulate them on the ride of Nelson Powless. What a lot of people don't know is he's actually a First Nation native original from America, Nelson Powless. And he's the first guy of that status, if you like, to actually take part at this level of world cycling. So in effect, he's a Red Indian or whatever the old name was, I don't know. But he's a fantastic biker, and he rose head and shoulders above himself. He's always good, and he's been very good in recent months. But the way he fought tooth and tongue to counter every attack, it just missed the podium. But my goodness me, he was right there all the way to the end.
It's excellent.
What's the Australians and the South Africans take note of that ride by an American? But I'll tell you what, we're going to see a lot of him next year.
I've got one for you, Bernard. It's from John Stevens. He says, do you think Van Aert thought when Julian Alaphilippe had a clear lead, 20k from the finish, save it for Roubaix, why bust the gut to finish second or third?
Well, I think that Wout van Aert did whatever he could do, but Alaphilippe was just super outstanding. So I don't think there was much thinking. Julian was just much better than anybody else. If you see the last 3 attacks on those hills, then everything is said. There is not too much more to add to that. He was plain simple the strongest.
Yeah.
But remember, sorry, Phil, but remember what we talked about in the last show, Dan, when we talked about the Lefebvre factor. And what we said was it would be a quick step. We said it'll be a quick step winner, and that's what he wanted. And it was also interesting for us to be looking at the moves of the different quick step riders. Whether we know that Remco was working for Van Aert, but a lot of that work also benefited the French team. And in that French team was a quick step rider. If you look at Zdeněk Stybar, he was in that chase group right to the end. He never once came to the front to take a turn. He did not pull at all in that finale. So how many quick step riders were there, Bernard, in the finale?
I think 3.
At least 3 or 4.
Yeah. And in the big group, 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So it was what we said. Quick step was the biggest represented team all over the day. And if you see, Evenepoel was pulling, he was pulling obviously for the Belgians, but at the end of the day, the two strongest teams were the Belgians and the French. So Evenepoel was working for Julian as well, and that's his teammate. What do you think?
Well, if they're worried about Lefebvre being drunk on Thursday night, he would have backed it up on Sunday as well, I reckon.
Yeah, but I think when that little group got away just near the end, we saw in every race, the leaders had always and maintained a few seconds over the chasers, and it always worked out throughout the championships. But when that little group got away with Stuyven in there, Van Aert knew he couldn't counter the move because he had his man up there, potentially a medalist, and he got a medal. I think from that moment on, Wout knew that his race was done, and he wasn't interested in 10th place. So I think the Belgians rode a great race.
Yeah, well, according to the Belgian press, Wout at the end said to Stuyven, "Go." He felt already that he could not be winning anymore, and I think it was a fair play to say, like, Stuyven, you try now to get on the podium.
Yeah,
I got one for you, Iffy, from your mate Andy Matthews. Says Aussies were missing Heinrich Hausler. He would have placed Bling in the final 5. By the way, my tip was Michael Valgren.
Good tip.
Yeah, good tip, Michael Valgren. Rode a great race, third, and only missed second by a 15th. But no, I don't think Heinrich had the form to get around this course in years back. No problem, but not at the moment. I don't think he would have been able to do. That was a pretty monster day. That's the best time I've seen. Actually, it was just staggering.
Last one from the viewer comments from Bradley Higgins. Great to mention Shepparton. Wendy Superfan is the current president of the Shepparton Cycling Club. Good on you, Wendy. Obviously, it's good to go back to your roots there, Jamie. In wrapping, guys, you've got a big schedule today. I think you're going to be showing that fantastic documentary that we've plugged a few times on here, The Voice of Cycling.
Absolutely. So that's coming up next here at the Flandrien. As you see, we've got a packed clubhouse here. So we'll be showing the Phil Liggett Voice of Cycling film. Yeah, I mean, that's all we have to do. What we might do actually before we close, though, Dan, if you'll allow us, we're going to bring our crowd over, because we've got
to. Yeah, mate.
Is it all right? Because it's their first live story. So if you invite everybody to come on over and, wave to the global fan base.
What an honour.
We've got Jennifer Tucker. We've got quite a few Aussies in the house, actually. We've got the South African Aussie contingent. We've got people from the US. So come on over. Come on, Sean. That's very good.
Hey.
So he's also doing a product placement because we've got Morgan Nickel, who is the talent player. So good try, mate. You better do that.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
That's good. That'll keep Morgan happy. Very good,
mate. We're always up for cash for comments for sure.
Exactly.
Good stuff, mate. Well, anything you want to add, Iffy?
I was going to ask Bernard a question because I can remember back in my racing day, there was a crazy Belgian who used to accommodate a lot of the races, a lot of the riders, and he used to always be taking them, making teams up. He was a bit of a gangster, actually.
So he really was Belgian.
Is he? Yeah. Is he still around?
He wasn't Bernard.
No, you'd have to know. Yes.
I think you're iffy. I think you're mentioning Stuff Boom.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Is he still around? Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still going. He's still going. He's still going. He's still alive. No. Hey, but that's what I was going to say to you, Phil, because you said you're not sure if you'll be around for too much longer, but you do really. If you're going to be seeing all of this come to fruition with this incredible development at African cycling. But Phil, you have to remember that the UCI recently introduced the 100+ age group classification.
Oh my God!
So, mate, you're never too late for a comeback.
Well, now listen, this is true. I was at a function midweek, not too far away, pure cyclist function, and this 91-year-old came up to me, introduced himself, and he says, "I'm going for the hour record." I said, "What?" "I'm going for the hour record for a 91-year-old, and I'm going to average 30 miles an hour." Now he's on a tandem and he has a pilot, but the pilot is 75 years old. So, and he's going for the hour record, and it's going to happen pretty soon. So, maybe I might go cycling again soon.
Well, never too late. Never too late for a comeback. Never too late for a comeback. That's true.
It's
Right,
not, it's not. Well, John's had more comebacks than I've had lunches. That's impossible. He only comes back for one day at 15 minutes, and then he waits for the next comeback.
This has been the most polite John's been all show because there's a 2-second delay with the Wi-Fi. It's awesome. He can't get a word in. But no, it's been fantastic having you guys on the show. And as we said earlier, get on the website, FlandrienHotel.com, and you're going to have to book in early because you guys are chockers. I mean, what's 2022 looking like for you guys? You're going to have some World Tour teams. Because I know, that'd be the number one destination, particularly leading up to races like Flanders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with the combination of what we got here, because of course, there's much more to it than a bed and something to eat. I mean, everything we've heard from the teams that stayed with us is just the inspiring, atmosphere we've created here with the bikes, the artwork, but also that home away from home atmosphere. So absolutely, we've already got a Pro Continental cyclocross team being based here with us over the winter. We've got 2 World Tour teams coming in March for their recons for the Spring Classics. So that's also an awesome thing here at the hotel that, people like Sean or Jennifer who are here this week, they're surrounded by athletes who are competing at the highest level. And it is very much that warm and inclusive atmosphere for everybody. So yeah, I think things are going to be pretty busy, and our bookings for the Spring Classics will be opening as of the 1st of January. So definitely recommend people get in early.
Above all, Dan, there's only one. We
will have Zoe Backstedt here, staying here for the entire cyclocross season. So
wow,
awesome!
Should be another world champion then.
And before we let you go, guys, if you ever need someone to do a voiceover for your art gallery, John Trevorrow is your man.
He is.
His record with the Mitchelton Winery Aboriginal Art Collection.
They've left already.
Yeah, and the beauty is John has finished the way he started. His face is frozen. The Wi-Fi is good. So John can't reply. So it's been a really easy finish to the show, guys.
Dana, I was going to ask Iffy to give us a valuation on the car.
Yeah, mate. 500,000. 500,000 euro, mate. Sensational job you've done with the car. Thanks for joining us on the detour.
I think I got it pretty much spot on. But
that wasn't bad. Sounded a bit more like Peter Coggoy to me, but it's going well.
Well, now he's gone. He's completely dropped out. But no, it's been a great show.
Now.
Yeah, it's been a great show. And we want to say a massive thanks to everyone that's been on the show, especially Rebecca Eliot from Pro Touch Africa. They're doing some great things. And obviously, Jamie and Bernard and everything you do with the Flandrien Hotel.
And don't forget Anne's here. Anne is the third.
Anne, that's right.
Yeah,
and get up to Jennifer, who I know really well there as well. We'll speak to you soon because she's working very hard with this documentary. We're trying to get going with Alan Piper. It's going to be fantastic. So that's going to be exciting. And before John reconnects, we might as well sign off, guys. It's been a great show. And we'll see you again for more detours soon. Like, share, subscribe.
All the best. Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.